Let's bring in Gustavo Ribeiro. He's a political analyst and the founder of the Brazilian Report media outlet. Gustavo, I just want to read you one news headline here in the United States. It says, Brazil is looking like the worst place on earth for COVID-19. How did things get so bad so quickly?
Well, the thing is, Brazil is a country that relies a lot on the informal economy, so tens of millions of people have to go out to work and to make ends meet. So regardless of the administration, this was said to be a dire crisis. The problem is this government, the Jair Bolsonaro administration, has from day one belittled the severity of the coronavirus, has hindered the country's effort to get vaccines, and has even talked against the use of face masks. So the president plays a big role into how things got so bad. And the thing is, all those figures that you just mentioned are figures that are confirmed, but nearly all experts say that due to the fact that Brazil doesn't test enough its citizens, the real figures are much higher. It's just that we're flying blind through this crisis.
And what is the situation at hospitals? We're hearing more than half of the country's 26 states, ICU occupancy rates have hit 90% or above. I mean, are you guys hearing from the doctors and scientists to push back against what Bolsonaro has said all this time?
Well, Jair Bolsonaro is a staunch opponent of lockdown-like measures, but the flagship medical associations all say that the country needs to halt its economy for at least 2 weeks in order to curb down transmission rates. And like you said, all but 2 states have reached critical levels in ICU occupancy rates. We have seen, for instance, in Brasilia, which is an affluent city, hundreds of people are on the waiting list for an ICU bed, and we're seeing patients who die even before they have access to care. And the president continues to say that lockdown might not be the answer. He still is preaching unproven methods to treat the coronavirus, such as hydroxychloroquine. He just said that this morning. So the president, in yesterday's address, he tried to portray himself as a moderate, but it doesn't last for long, and he quickly goes back to his radical self and to his to his coronavirus skeptical self.
Gustavo, what is the reaction to Bolsonaro and his rhetoric? Are people following social distancing rules? Are they still wearing their masks? I mean, this is a problem when the president of the country is sending the wrong message.
Well, isolation rates in São Paulo, for instance, which is the biggest city in the country, have been low. We cannot say that it's necessarily all connected to Bolsonaro and his rhetoric, but also to pandemic fatigue. We are seeing that people, the economic anxieties push them into leaving their homes to work. And also people are fed up with these restrictions, and they do not abide by the rules. Brazil does not have a severe lockdown as we're seeing in other countries. We have only restrictions on essential businesses, so people still circulate around. And at least in São Paulo, we see a lot of people wearing masks, but not necessarily to the rates that experts say that are safe, which is at least 80 to 90% of people.
And where do things stand, Gustavo, with inoculations or getting tested? How easy or difficult is it to get tested or to get the jab?
Well, Brazil has only vaccinated 6% of its population with at least 1 jab and 2% with 2 jabs. Yesterday, we saw about 500,000 people getting vaccinated, which is a big step up from previous weeks. Brazil has been very slow in vaccinating people. And this week, the health ministry has lowered its expectations for receiving jabs from India and from China. So it's going to be still a long effort before we hit safe levels of people who have been inoculated. And the problem, according to experts, is that we're mixing 2 very dangerous variables. an uncontrolled spread and a slow vaccine rollout, which means that we might be developing new variants that we could be more resistant to inoculations in the future.
All right, we'll have to leave it there. Gustavo Ribeiro on a very precarious situation with COVID cases in Brazil.